I actually this past year developed a quiz that you can take, the Indecision cost calculator. It tells you how much it's costing you per day to not act on the decision. My husband took it because he's sitting on a business decision and he like freaked out. This is how much it's costing per day. And when we see that number, we're like, oh my gosh, that adds up. And it's crazy to me that like the time and energy that it's sucking from our life isn't enough to get us into action. It's seeing that number because money talks.
Welcome to Everyone's Talking Money, where we get brutally honest about money, mindset, and making life richer. Jessica, you call yourself a bold action taker, but so many women are terrified of bold moves because they're stuck in should mode. Why do you think we cling to shoulds even when they're costing us money and happiness?
Oh, such a great question to start this off with. And I believe it is purely because of the conditioning we received growing up. We are so afraid of like what other people are going to think. And if we are doing it right, are we making the right decision? Or are we going to screw everything up in our lives? Like we put so much value on one decision that we think it's going to ruin everything. And when it comes to our finances, sometimes those are very big decisions. And we're like, I'm gonna ruin everything. I'm gonna be homeless. We let it roll and it's just all of these shoulds. And it's judgment we're putting on ourselves of, oh, if I make this decision, it means this about me. If I make this decision, it means this about me. And so we really have to peel back those shoulds so that we can understand how to make bold moves that feel good to us, that feel best for us. I always say there's no right or wrong, good or bad. We're just trying to make the next best decision for us.
How often do you find that we should ourselves because we keep it all inside? We don't have
Mm.
other people to talk to or ideas to bounce off of, and we're just living in this own little vacuum of our thoughts.
I mean, pretty much constantly. I think unless we are intentionally identifying and unpacking the shoulds, that we are stuck in that. We rarely are bringing it up. And if we are bringing it up, like the shoulds that we're stuck in, we're usually presenting them in a way to other people that feels comfortable or feels safe because we don't feel safe to even have the conversation within ourselves. And so we get stuck in this should cycle and it's like a shame cycle because should really, the reason I use should, and I think we've heard it, if you've been in self-help much at all, we talk about shoulds quite a bit, but it's this idea that should represents judgment. Like in that word, when we think it, when we use it, we are placing judgment on ourselves and what it is we want and need. And again, that keeps us in that shame cycle and keeps us from being honest and clear about what it is we want. And also on a whole nother level, it keeps us stuck in a box of thinking like there's no other options. I have to stay in this box. There's no options outside of this. And so we can't even think that there's some option that might feel better, that might be better for us.
Well, it's like the cognitive distortion. It's all or
Mhm.
nothing, or
Yes.
we catastrophize. I don't think I said that right, but we make it the worst possible scenario if we were to go and make this decision, and it,
Mhm.
it, it blows up in our face. So do you feel that women oftentimes just think of like the worst case scenario or think more negatively when it comes to making decisions?
For sure. I think we have been told that we first and foremost have to do it all and be it all. And then secondly, we've been conditioned to believe that we need to do it right. That there's this one right way. If we don't do it that way, it means X, Y, and Z about us. And so we can't get out of that thinking unless we are very intentional about it, unless we start thinking like, oh, but what would it mean if I did this differently? What would it mean if I decided to go, whatever it is? Like, what does that mean about me? And how can I think about that differently? And I'm going to pull up a random story that just popped into my head to kind of show how I kind of shoved one of my financial shoulds in my life. Um, and kind of had to unpack what it meant about me by doing that. When I got divorced, I had not worked. I mean, I was a seamstress out of our house and I had a very minimal side job. And I had a 2-year-old when I got divorced. And I'm like, okay, I got to do the thing now. I'm a single mom. I need to go get a job. I need to do all of these things and check all these boxes. And also, while I'm doing this, I am deep, as many people are in divorce, deep in mourning and grief and moments of anger and bitterness and like all of those things that come up during a divorce process. And I just thought I went and applied for jobs. I had a college degree. I was capable. I was offered some great jobs. And financially, it all made sense. This is what I should do. This is what responsible people do. And I couldn't take them. I turned down all of the jobs and I was like, this just does not feel right for me. This doesn't feel good. It feels like I am going to completely overwhelm myself and stay stuck in just this emotional overwhelm because now I'm piling one more thing onto my plate that I really didn't want. I wanted to be home with my 2-year-old, like, and play with her and be with her and all of those things. And so at that time, I did not work the whole time I was single, like a normal, quote unquote, normal job that looks like what I should do. And I posted about this the other day, actually on social. Every guy I dated told me I should go get a real job. And I was like, why do you care? I am not asking you or anyone else for money. I am making this work. Why do you care? Like, this is my priority. Healing emotionally for myself and for my daughter was my priority. And I heard it over and over again, except from the man I married. He is the only one that did not tell me that. He saw it for what it was and understood the priorities. But again, it's that should of like, what are people going to say about me? What are people going to think if I don't make this decision instead of being in tune with what actually feels best for me?
Wow, you're not dependent on them financially. You're not asking for money. You're proving that it works. So why are you shoulding me? Like why
Yeah.
are you telling me what I should do based off of what I am doing what I should do. And that's
Yeah.
what's best for me. What is it with the society and the pressure that's on women to do it all, be it all? Where do you think that comes from and how much of it is self-imposed, but then self-imposed based off of, like, what society is kind of
Mm,
pushing on us?
yeah. It starts really young, and it starts for many of us when we feel that we are responsible for other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. We need to keep the temperature in the house emotionally at a certain level. And so we perform and act in a certain way that like keeps things good. We need to keep mom and dad happy. We're responsible for all of these things. And on top of that, when we are young, I firmly believe we are the first person we are taught not to trust. So at a very young age, we are told you shouldn't feel that way. It doesn't hurt that bad. It's not that big of a deal. And it's just parents and teachers and all of these people in our lives trying to help us. And also partially they don't want to sit in the discomfort of our big feelings. And so they tell us these things and it's ingrained in us from the beginning that I don't know what's best for me. I can't trust the feelings I have. I can't even trust the physical pain that I'm in because I'm being told it's not that bad. It's not that big of a deal. It
It's
shouldn't hurt that
okay.
bad. It's okay. You're
Yes.
fine. And we've all said these things
Yes.
to other people, whether it's our children or not. Like we've all said these words. And so it starts with that. And then on top of that, that I have to keep this the peace. I have to be a peacemaker. I'm supposed to be a mom. I'm going to get a career. I'm supposed to do all these things to be a good woman, to find happiness. We think, oh, if I keep chasing it, I'm going to be happy. And then we find ourselves usually in like our 30s and 40s. I recently listened to the episodes with Shanna that you had on about talking about hitting our 40s. And I'm like, oh yes. But we realize like, I'm not really fulfilled. I have been following this path and I've been digging and I've been trying to do everything. And we talk about dysregulated nervous systems. And this is where it comes from, is because it's ingrained in us that we need to do it all in order to be of value, in order to be of worth, in order to feel love. We have to do it all. And so it's just all of these things piling on, telling us that this is where happiness lies. This is the expectations. And we hear it like those guys that I dated when I was single. That's their conditioning of what this should look like. You're a single mom, you should have a job. Bullcrap. Like, I get to create a life and reality that works for me. And so it's unlearning too, as we unlearn the shoulds for ourselves, we start seeing how we're shoulding on other people and start releasing those shoulds that we're putting on other people as well.
You're right, and we it's okay. It's not that bad. It'll be okay. Don't worry about it. It is the person that's saying it isn't saying it with ill intention. They're not
No.
saying it with what you're saying doesn't matter or how you feel doesn't matter. They just don't want you to be upset anymore. They
Yes.
want to get you back to even keeled and norm because obviously they don't want you upset, but we don't realize how dismissive it is.
Yeah.
And my daughter, I have a 14-year-old daughter, and we were just away on a trip. And when we're all traveling and then it's time to pack up, it's like we're shoving things in whatever suitcase to whatever fits,
Yes.
right? So I'm taking all the dirty clothes and I'm splitting it between this suitcase, that suitcase, and she couldn't find one of her shirts. And she's like, "Where's my shirt?" I don't know. It's probably in someone's dirty clothes in the suitcase. We'll find it. And a day later, "Where's my shirt?" "I don't know. Maybe it's in your sister's dirty clothes." "No, we washed all of that. It's not there." "Okay, well," and I kept going like, "We will find it. It's okay." Like, cause I didn't want her to worry about it.
Yep.
But we were talking about it later, and in her head, she, like, passed it off as, "Well, you're not concerned about this. You don't care.
Mm,
I care about it. You don't." And it's like, "No, I do care. I don't want you to become so consumed with it and feel bad that you lost it because I know it's not lost. It's somewhere here.
yeah.
We have it." But and I'm like, "Thank you for bringing that to my attention because here's what my intention, I want you to understand what my
Yes.
intention was, that I didn't want you to get upset about this because I knew we were gonna find it."
Yeah.
But it's just changing those words like, "Hey, we
Mhm.
will find it. We will find it, period. I will
Yeah.
try as hard as I can to find it. I know it's important to you," instead of like, "It's okay, don't worry about it," kind of thing, which is what
Yes.
the words were.
Yeah. Yeah. And because of like these small moments of conditioning, and usually it's the repetitiveness of those going unaddressed that we get stuck in. So you had this follow up conversation of understanding about how she felt, how you felt, and coming together to recognize these things. Whereas most of the time when it's a little kid or whatever, we're just dismissing and not coming back to that of, oh, I now see how I dismissed your feelings, but your feelings are valued and I do want to hear them and they are important, even if it's like, it's just a shirt, you know? But it's not. It's important things, especially to kids, because that's what they have control of. That's the things they value. And so when we can create that safety for ourselves and for other people, that's when we start understanding how to make decisions that are best for us.
What do you think are some of the most expensive shoulds you've seen women pay for, whether it's career, relationships, finances?
Divorce. And it is not the act of divorce that is costing women money. It is the fact that we wait so long to get the divorce. The longer you wait, which everybody's timeline is different. Everybody's season is different. So I share about this a lot in my coaching programs. Like, you get to follow your own timeline. And also, I watch women who sit on a divorce for years and it is costing them, first of all, time that they could have been out doing other things. It's costing them energy, but financially, it is costing them more money because the longer you wait, the higher your emotions get. And when you are in the divorce process and emotions are so high and so just, you get triggered so easily, It's hard to do it in a way that you guys can work together and figure things out faster and more quickly and without lawyers and just mediators and all of those things that keep the cost of divorce down. I also feel like if you are not acting on something in your relationship that is off, then you can't fully focus on the work you were meant to do in this world. It is keeping you from excelling in your business, in your career, like if you, whatever that looks like for you. If you aren't dealing with either side, and it could be that you're not dealing with something in your business and it's impacting your marriage or your relationship, they go back and forth. But so those are the two biggest. But if you aren't dealing with something in your personal life, it is 100% going to impact your finances and keep you from moving forward. I actually, this past year, developed a quiz that you can take. It's like a 5 question quiz. And I call it the Indecision Cost Calculator. You go in, you take 3 to 5 minutes and fill it out. And it tells you how much it's costing you per day to not act on the decision. Is it exact? No, but it is definitely giving you a rough idea of seeing like, oh my gosh, my husband took it because he's sitting on a business decision and he like freaked out. And I was like, babe, this is pretty simple math for what you just had me do. And he's like, I know, but this is how much it's costing per day. And when we see that number, we're like, oh my gosh, that adds up. And it's crazy to me that like the time and energy that it's sucking from our life isn't enough to get us into action. It's seeing that number because money talks.
That's so true. When you quantify things, that's when it becomes more powerful.
Mhm.
Or we can stomach it or not stomach it more. But when you think, oh, well, it's just my time or it's just this, but no, this is what your time is worth. This is what your energy is worth. And when we assign numbers to things, then it
Yes.
becomes much more real.
Yeah.
And when I work with clients and they say, well, I can't make a decision, I say, you are making a decision. By not making a
100%.
decision, you are making a decision. You're choosing not to decide.
Mhm.
And there's a cost to that.
Yep.
And if you're willing to pay that cost, then that's fine. But there is a cost to it. Um, you mentioned that you were divorced, you're remarried now, you've built a blended family, and all of that comes with huge emotional and financial choices. So tell me more about those the price tag of indecision. What did those life shifts teach you about the price tag of indecision?
Oh man. So much. And I always say for me, the remarriage has been the harder part than the divorce. And that was because I kind of had years to process through my divorce before we actually got divorced. My ex-husband's gay. I knew he was gay 2 years into our marriage. I knew our marriage might end. So I kind of processed this ending along the way. Um, Second marriage though kicked my ass. Like I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but it is it was the hardest thing. And so figuring out as well, like finances coming together in second marriage, what does this look like? Especially because my husband was supportive of me being a stay at home mom still. We both had young kids. And so having somebody home was really good for us. And also, it was weird because he's just taking on me and a kid that's not his, that he's paying a lot of money for and has paid a lot of money for. We're 12 years into this. And at this point, it's like, you know, I'm not going to say it feels like she's not the same relationship as his daughter, but it's a wash. Like she's part of his life no matter what now. Um, but it's just this weird vibe of meshing those things. And at this point, now that I started building a business about 6 years ago, so halfway into our marriage, and I had to deal with the emotional stuff before I could do that because I wasn't ready to fully step into what I knew was my calling in life. And also, I'm like, I never want my girls to not have their own money. Um, or to at least not know that they can get their own money. Because now I'm like, I will never go back to not having my own money, to not feel like I could leave a marriage at a moment's notice. I work with too many women that is the thing keeping them in their marriage. And I'm like, just leave. Finances figure themselves out. The universe responds when you take the action to move forward. And so I think knowing that there is going to be support for you no matter where you're at, but also be aware. Put money away. Stick it in a sock in your closet. Like, I don't care. Put $1 in there every day. Something like that, just so that all of us know we have our freedom at the end of the day. Um, but it really has taught me, above all else, to trust what feels right for me. Take on those random little jobs that at least gave me some feeling of freedom and that I could go somewhere and do something. Not that my husband's controlling with money at all, but it's just a mindset of knowing it's yours and knowing you are doing something. And money's energy. It creates excitement. It creates feelings of being proud and, you know, proud of the work we've done, the money we've brought in, like all of those things that come along with it. And so I think it's such a huge thing that I understand on a deeper level now. I was raised in a very conservative Christian religion, and I was trained, conditioned, I don't have a job. I will only have a job. I got a college degree in case my husband dies and I end up on my own, like that type of thing. And I'm like, man, I don't want my daughters to ever live into that conditioning. They want to be a stay-at-home mom. Amazing. I found so much for fulfillment in that. And also, you can do both. You can have the things, simplify, make it work for you. You don't have to do it all, but figure out a way to make it work for you.
Well, it's creating your own shoulds, right? That
Yes.
you're deciding, well, now I'm at the point that I want to start my own business. So I should
Hmm.
have my own money. I should have my own bank account. I should have that freedom. But you're creating it at a time that made sense for you. It was your timeline,
Yes.
not someone else's timeline. And when you do things on your own timeline, it works out better because you're open to it. You don't have those roadblocks and those walls up. When you're not 100% into it, like you said, the universe gives you it back when you
Yes.
create opportunities. So I think that that's important too, is, there may be valid points in the shoulds, but doing them on your own time.
Making sure it's in alignment with who you actually are and your values and what you want out of life is the main thing that I teach. Like, I don't care what you do. I don't care how your life looks. I don't care how crazy or nutto it sounds to me to do whatever it is you want to do. All I want to do is help people understand how to do it in a way that genuinely feels good. And when I say feels good, I mean feels safe. Like, safety, I think, is a thing we don't talk about enough, but feels safe to make those decisions that are best for you, to act in a way that feels best for you, and then trust that things are going to work out on the other side. It's not going to work out how you think it's going to look. My life looks nothing like I ever imagined. And also, I wouldn't change a thing at this point. Like, there's so much joy and fulfillment that has come from it because I have trusted what feels best for me. Mistakes were made. That's okay. But there's things that happen and it works out just in the craziest ways.
Can you tell everyone about your bold logic, where you coach women to understand their decision making patterns?
Yes. So again, this comes back to what I believe we are lacking is safety to be ourselves, to trust ourselves, to show up as ourselves, and from that conditioning of when we were young. And so I help individuals come back to that deep connection to themselves so that they can be truly connected to their partners, their kids, their life's purpose, their whatever it is that's driving them in life. I want them to have that deep connection to those things. And so I have a decision making process that I've put together, and it really comes down to 3 steps. And the first step is being humble. Yes. I'm like, did I say the right one? No, being gentle. Yes. I'm like, that's not the first step. Being gentle with ourselves. We're identifying those shoulds and just acknowledging them. I tell women to do like a week-long challenge of a should challenge where each day you identify one should you're putting on yourself. Because once you start seeing them, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many shoulds. And it starts with things like, oh, I should wear that outfit. I should do my hair this way. I should eat this food. I should do this workout. Like we have so much information now that there's so much in our heads about how we should do day to day life. So it's getting intentional about those without judgment. We're learning to release that judgment. And this is the hardest part for all of us because it's so ingrained in us that we need to beat ourselves up. We need to call ourselves out, or it's we're not going to make movement forward. And I just call bull crap on all of that. When we can learn to be kind and gentle with ourselves by creating safety and unshooting our lives, we get to have that courage to move forward. And then the next step is we're going to be humble. And this isn't being a doormat. This isn't getting walked on. This doesn't mean we aren't proud of who we are and what we've accomplished. It means that we are willing to release our ego and be wrong about how we thought our life should look and about how we think our kids' life should look or our partner's life should look or our business should look. Oh my gosh, like running your own business, I mean, you can get into that all day of how it should look. We've been told so many things. How our finances should look. What does it mean for you? How do you figure out what actually feels good to you about your finances? So it's really a process of getting curious. And I always say that's like 30% of the decision making process. 60% is being gentle. 30% is releasing that ego and opening up our boxed beliefs so that we can see other ways that might be options to live our lives that we've totally closed ourselves off from because we're shooting on ourselves. And then the last step, which is 10% of the process, and we think it's the biggest part, and it's not, is taking bold, imperfect action. We need to be bold. My dad always told me growing up, BB, Jessica, you need to BB, which meant to be bold. And he just meant to act on whatever was in my heart, whether it was big or small, to take the action. And that has been one of the most impactful, empowering things in my life is to know that I had my dad trusting in me to be myself and my mom. She was right there with him. But I just remember my dad's voice telling me that. And so we take the action, and the action like is the part that feels the scariest. But once we've gone through that process of releasing the judgment and understanding why it is we actually want to do this thing, then when we take the action, it doesn't feel scary. It actually feels like peace. It feels like safety. It feels calm even though it's not even if it doesn't look like what we thought on the other side, we still get to have those things because we know we did what was best for us. And we're trusting that whatever powers are at be in this world are going to respond and come back to work for us. So that's the process that I work people through. It's all like in my book and all of those things. But I think there's so much power when we can understand this and have these tools to help us make decisions because we weren't taught how to make decisions and we make them every second of every day. And so when we can come back to this basic understanding of decision making, it really allows us to take control of our lives. I would say it's like then we're the CEO of our lives. We're making decisions intentionally and with purpose that feel really good.
Well, the last part of taking the action, it feels natural because you've been setting yourself up for it. If
Yes.
you went just from like, I'm going to make a life change to taking the action without the humbleness and the gentleness of it, it feels awkward. So of course you're
Yeah.
scared because you haven't
Hmm.
done all the other steps. So making a big life shift or making a big decision, yeah, it is really scary because you haven't prepared yourself for it. You haven't done the steps to kind of break through the other layers or peel back the onion to the decision. So you're preparing for it, and the big step is just like the n- the natural next step of it. The big
Yeah.
choice or the big decision is the natural next step of it. So that makes a lot of sense.
And I think too, like, once we started making like doing this with little decisions, and I think about finances right now a lot because that's what you do. When we start practicing that on a day to day basis of making intentional financial decisions that feel good to us, then when we have those opportunities to make the big decisions, to buy the house, to invest, to, take out the loan to start your business, I don't know, whatever it is that is calling to you, It's like, okay, I can go through this process and understand why this is important to me. Why am I valuing owning a home? Why am I valuing staying in an apartment? Why do I value whatever it looks like? Why do I want to live in a trailer and drive around the United States or the world or whatever you want to do? And then when you make those decisions, you're like, oh, yeah, this is because this is who I am. And these are the things I value. And yes, it creates that comfort and safety because we've done the work to prepare our nervous system basically to make this decision.
Especially when it comes to money. If you have a good handle on making the small decisions, like I say that you can't make a big decision about buying a house or starting a retirement account or
Mm,
make investing in your 401k, whatever it is. You can't make those decisions if you're not confident in the smaller decisions that you make every day. If you don't know if you have enough money in your checking account, if you don't know if you have enough money in your savings, you can't do the big stuff until the little
yeah.
stuff is taken care of
Mhm.
first. So you teach that powerful decisions come from clarity, confidence, and concision. How
Mhm.
does that show up when a woman is on the brink of a big financial leap, like starting a business, buying a home, or walking away from a high paying job?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you were just speaking to, this comes from those moments of building confidence. People think that having more information is going to build confidence when they make the decision, and it's complete bullcrap. Like, yes, you want to have a certain amount of information that is part of the process, and also we get stuck in that overthinking spiral and all of those things. So if we take that time to make little decisions along the way, that is where we are building our confidence. That is where we start to own our voice and our decision making power. And so that prepares us for that time to be clear. It's like, okay, we have proof. Women like proof. So we have created that proof in ourselves of I've made these little decisions. They have worked out for my good, even when it wasn't what I thought would happen. And so now when I make this bigger decision, because I'm trusting what it is I feel in my heart, in my soul, in my body, I can make it and know that it's going to work out. I can make this decision with clarity. I have built the confidence because I have been doing that on a daily basis with my decision making. And now I can do it in a timeline that feels really good, where I'm not just throwing that money away. This doesn't mean when I say concision, I don't necessarily mean we're doing it super fast. It just means we're doing it in a way that actually feels good for us, that isn't throwing us into a spiral, an emotional spiral, or making us sick because we aren't listening to what we need to do. So many of us, I have stories about that where I've not listened to what I need to do, and then my body is screaming at me. And again, that's going to cost you money because you aren't taking care of yourself. Like that's something I speak to in that indecision quiz as well. If you're not acting, you get sick and you then have more money that you have to spend. And so I think when we understand this process, then you make those decisions and you can make them with concision and you are clear. And then when you get the information on the other side of that decision, you're like, oh, this is why I'm here. Yes, I get to keep going this one direction. It feels really good and it's all lining up. Or it's like, oh, I hit a block. I made the decision, the door's shut. And I'm like, now I know I can go the other direction confidently because I know this one did not work out. But I needed to know it wasn't going to work out so I could move forward very confidently. And so when those moments come, again, you feel safe to make them. And I don't know that very many women truly understand what that feels like to feel safe to make these big decisions. And I think that's actually what happens when we hit 35, 40, 45, 50, and we're like, I don't feel safe in myself. I've been putting so much on everybody else to tell me what to do, to tell me what my life should look like. And now I just want that deep connection to myself because we've hit midlife. Somebody told me that the other day. We've hit midlife. And I'm like, what? No, no. And I'm like, oh yeah, I have 41, definitely there. Um, But it's just like I want to make the most of every day that I have, and that's how we do it, is by trusting those moments and being able to act with concision so we're not throwing away more of our time and energy. We're done. We're done.
There's a reason why there's the saying paralysis by analysis. We can
Mhm.
keep on researching, researching, researching. And yes, of course, we want to make educated decisions. We don't just want to jump into something. But there's a reason why we keep on researching it or mulling it over because we didn't do the work ahead of time to feel confident
Mhm.
in it. So it's like, okay, why do we feel the need to keep on researching and delaying it and becoming paralyzed by it? And it's probably has nothing to do with the actual decision
Mm-mm.
itself. There's something way back that we need to break through first so then you can feel confident in the decision. Make an
Yeah.
educated decision, but then feel confident in it. And it comes back to usually that confidence or not being clear on what the objective is or why you're doing something. So that all makes perfect sense. So it's like you need to be aware of, am I just analyzing this until the
Yeah.
death of me? And if I am, why? Because I have all the
Yes.
information I need. There's nothing
Yeah.
new that I'm going to find out.
And I think so often, first of all, I think the lack of action often comes from the lack of safety, of feeling like, or we tell ourselves we're not smart enough to make this decision. We're not strong enough to make this decision, whatever. We have this belief. Or if I make it, it means X, Y, and Z about me. So those fears come up, those beliefs. We want logic. We are so focused on the logic side of it. Like every little bit of this decision needs to make sense. And I just don't believe that most of our like best decisions in life are based in logic. They're based in something that makes no sense at all. So like leaving that corporate job because that has like that good money and is providing, this life that we have makes no logical sense on paper. But in our heart and our soul and our being, it's all we're craving. I'm not saying this is for everybody, but if this is the decision you're making, logically, it doesn't make sense. But we have to release logic and get into what we actually know is best for us. And then on the other side of that, logic comes of like, oh, this is why it worked. Then we get to see the plan. But until we take a little bit of a leap of faith, we don't get that clarity. We don't get the full vision. So we have to go before the full vision is there.
Do you think we women delay making decisions, especially ones that prioritize our own desires because we don't want to look selfish?
100%. Yes. Yes. We don't want to. Yeah. We don't want to look selfish. And it's so deeply ingrained in us because we are supposed to give and give and give. We are the nurturers. We are the whatever. And so we are conditioned to believe that if we think about ourselves first, if we take care of ourselves first, then we are being selfish. And I always tell women, first and foremost, if you have that thought that if I do this, I'm being selfish, bull crap. Like if you are thinking about that, you are not a selfish individual. Somebody who is selfish does not have that thought. And so if you are checking yourself, then you get to see, oh no, I'm doing this because I want to feel deeply connected to myself so I can feel deeply connected to whatever else I'm passionate about in my life. And so we have to kind of process through that. And I always say, when you think about yourself first. So if I get up in the morning and I put on the clothes that feel good to me and I do my hair in a way that feels good to me, I then walk out into the world and I don't think about myself. I don't think about like, oh, what's going on? I feel uncomfortable in this, but I wore it because I should. We don't think that because we are comfortable in what we're wearing. We are doing the thing that feels right for us. So the more we lean into like, here's how I need to take care of myself today and this week and this month and this year, whatever it is, the less we think about ourselves. The more I took that time to emotionally and mentally heal post divorce and not add a big full time job or anything on top of that, the more I got to show up powerfully at this time in my life to help women in the most incredible ways I've ever experienced. But I couldn't have done that unless I had listened to that inner voice in me that's like, you're going to do this and it's going to feel really weird and you're not going to work basically for a year and a half when you have nothing, but you're going to figure it out. And I did. And and it prepared me to be able to give of myself more later on. It allowed me to be connected to my daughter, which was my number one priority at that time, connection to myself and connection to her. And it was just an important time that I wanted that connection. That's what I valued. So I think just understanding that first and foremost, if you think you're selfish, you're not. Like, it's just not a thing. And secondly, the more you think about yourself first, the more you get to be deeply connected to other people because you're not thinking about yourself in the back of your head. If you're not taking care of the sickness, if you're not taking care of the pain, if you're not like dealing with all of the, like, my neck's tight today, I'm like, I need a massage. If you aren't doing those things, then that's what you're thinking about all the time instead of being connected to other people, instead of being connected to your purpose or your job.
It's like when you're on the airplane and they say, put on your oxygen mask first before you
Yes.
help others. Or if someone, you work out in the morning so you can start your day that much better, wake up a little bit earlier or take that time for yourself, whatever it is, because then you are giving out 100% of you. You can give everything
Yes.
your full attention versus, oh, I didn't wake up this morning and work out and now I'm kind of cranky because I didn't get my endorphins or I'm beating myself because I should have worked out. But
Yep.
it is important that I would you say that that's the advice when you want to move past that of by taking the things for yourself, whatever it is, then you are able to give everyone else your best versus
Yeah.
50%, 70% of you instead of
Yeah.
100%.
And I always say that with such hesitation because I really want you to do it for you. Like, we really do need to get to a point, ideally, where it is for us. And the trickle down effect is that it benefits so many other people because that is, I mean, our drive for so many of us. As females, we are driven as caregivers, as supporters, as cheerleaders. And the more we do take care of ourselves and embrace that just for us, the more it trickles down to everybody else. And I'm like, that is the greatest gift I could give my daughter and my stepdaughter is that they understand that they get to take care of themselves first and then they get to show up powerfully for everybody else. But it is the same like muscle that has to be flexed with decision making is you have to keep practicing it to see how it works. And the more you do it, the more powerful it gets. And I think too, like we're saying, it's not in the back of your head anymore. You're not thinking about these things. They're not taking you away from whatever it is. I feel that about decision making. If you have a decision in the back of your head, and I call it decision debt, I've heard other people, I'm not the only one that calls it that, but decision debt, where you're piling up these decisions you're not making, whether it's buying a new couch or moving to a new city or changing jobs or whatever. When you keep those and aren't acting on them, it's just sitting there and you can't be fully connected to anything else in your life.
As we wrap up, for someone that's listening right now and they feel stuck in their own head, they're overthinking every money move, they're weighed down by guilt, fear, or those nagging shoulds. What's one bold decision they could make today that would start to shift everything for them?
Yeah. Again, it goes back to those little things. I encourage you to start first and foremost by making one decision a day that feels right for you. And we have to go to the shoulding process in that. You're going to identify the should. And then you are going to say, okay, I could do this. I could go do this workout. Usually, when I'm shooting on myself, it's about workouts. It's because I feel like I have to do this one workout today. I have to lift weights and I have to go for a run or whatever. And when I get stuck in that, I'm not listening to my body because I'm fighting against something. And so I'm like, oh, but then I don't work out at all because I'm just constantly thinking and it doesn't feel good when really I could just go for a walk and it would feel great for that day because that's what feels right. So trust that in yourself. Make one decision a day where it is just for you. What are you going to eat without taking into account anybody else? What sounds good to you, not to anybody else? What is one article of clothing you want to put on your body, not considering anybody else's thoughts, feelings, and opinions. And as we start doing that, we get to start feeling bold. And I always tell people too, bold isn't about being loud. It's not being about being a jerk. It's not about like putting up these really harsh boundaries or anything like that. You are going to set some boundaries, but it's more about being yourself. It's just about feeling safe and comfortable in your own skin. So pick one decision today and start identifying a should a day as well. Like, where am I shoulding on yourself? They'll usually go together.